The inaugural WOZA Awards take place tonight in Sandton, Johannesburg. The awards pave the way for South Africa's leading women lawyers, trailblazers and changemakers to compete in 23 nomination categories. The 23 categories include, amongst others, law firms, individuals, government and a Pinnacle Award. For more on this, we cross live to SABC News reporter Gillian Pillay, who's at the ceremony, the WOZA Awards 2019. Gillian, so tell us what's going on there.
Very good evening to you, Tsipi. So yes, as you said, this prestigious awards, the first of its kind taking place here, but really giving a voice to women who work tirelessly behind the scene, working in NGOs, working in firms, doing their little bit to change what they can within their little structures. And this is where, you can imagine quite a lot of nerves in place for those nominees that will be celebrated and commemorated tonight ahead of the awards. You can hear the music really reverberating through this particular hall, but more importantly, giving a voice to women who ideally, are the underdogs within those fraternities. I'm joined now by Rihanna Parker, the founder of the WOZA Awards. Firstly, where does the name come from?
Very simple. WOZA is a Zulu word meaning come along, come aboard. And it was just a perfect fit to tell women, come along, come aboard, let's do this, let's create this platform. And of course, woman, WOZA, and here we have the launch in Women's Month.
Why is it so important, the first of its kind, that we do this? Women have been recognized previously, but you felt that there was this gap within this fraternity. Why is it so imperative?
Absolutely imperative. I attended a law conference last year and I looked around the room and I could literally count how many women there were. And I sat back and I said, where are the women lawyers? We are talking about the BRICS Law Summit. Where are the women lawyers? There's trade between these countries, there's trade in Africa, and there's lots of lawyers in South Africa, and especially women. The highest amount of graduates that graduate in law faculties are women, but we are losing them. Why are we losing them are the questions. So I am the founder of the WOZA Women in Law Awards, and then I formed a company called WOZA Pty Limited to create a platform where we can nominate, elevate, recognize all those trailblazers, change makers that we don't know about. We traditionally know the big firms or those who make the headlines in striking a mega deal or wins a phenomenal case. But there are phenomenal women that we need to tease out. The smaller woman in practice, the woman who does a phenomenal job as a legal advisor at an NGO. And it's now Women's Month. What a perfect way to celebrate a launch.
Women within NGOs, why is it so imperative? It might not necessarily be a lawyer, like you told me, a magistrate, a justice within a huge, within a huge court. It's that lady that's working on changing law in her small little way. NGOs, talk to us about that. What change would you like to see there?
Traditionally, advice officers in the past acted as desks where people could turn to for help. NGOs, of course, is the new form of legal advice officers. We need them for the voiceless. We need those NGOs to reach people who cannot afford legal fees. And therefore the value of NGOs cannot be underscored, especially with regard to them being the catalyst to drive social change. Sexual harassment. That is high on our agenda. We know that we celebrate 16 days of activism against the abuse of women and children, but surely that in itself is a key factor in driving the NGOs because they are able to foster and engender change.
Just before we wrap up, is there any particular award, we spoke about this earlier, that stands out from the 23 that really elevates and talks to a lady who is the underdog?
Yes, definitely, the pro bono sector. So many firms do have pro bono officers, and then there are various NGOs. I'm naturally attracted because how do we have access to justice where people cannot afford to pay legal fees? So the average South African is reliant on that sector, and therefore it was so important for us to create that platform where we could have the pro bono person also being recognized, the social justice activist. So you're teasing out a spectrum of people. And now the corporate world has certainly woken up to it. Banking institutions all have a social responsibility. Why? Because they realize that they need to give back. Again, I need to raise sexual harassment. At present, last week, the oldest sexual harassment case is now coming to court, 1974. Now, we as women lawyers are the best positioned to drive. The question is, sexual harassment has happened, we know. It's happened through the ages. But why are people now sitting up and saying we need to do something? We need to be the catalyst for this change. So coming back to WOZA, the other, of course, that I'm naturally inclined to is land rights. We had the category, the best lawyer in land rights, property and conveyancing. Land rights, of course, because land rights is still a very sensitive issue for people in South Africa. And I'm proud and happy to have seen the caliber of nominees that have come through. Of course, let's not forget our future ambassadors. So we created a platform for students and candidate attorneys because we realized if we're not going to invest into our young women and mentor and develop them, then we've lost the plot.
That was Rihanna Parker just giving us some sort of idea of what is expected tonight for those nominees who will be taking to the stage. As I said, the scene has been set, everything in place really to commemorate, but also to empower women who have done such great work over the years, and hopefully this awards will, continue every year commemorating those women. Back to you, Tsepiso.
Well, thanks a lot for